Why do we think this way? Surprising psychology answers. Have you ever suddenly thought of something that made you wonder? Like, how can I think like this? Or maybe you are confused because you don't understand why you often overthink. Well, don't worry. You are not alone. The human mind is complicated and sometimes makes us doubt ourselves. But behind all that, there is an incredibly interesting psychological answer. Let's discuss why our brains work this way. 1. Our brains really like patterns. One of the reasons why we think this way is because the brain really likes to create patterns. Even if there is no pattern, our brain always tries to create it. For example, you have not observed the clouds and suddenly imagined the shape of an animal or a face. That's because our brains are designed to identify patterns in order to survive. In the era of our ancestors, this skill was important for finding danger. 2. We remember negative things more easily. Have you ever felt that bad things are easier to remember than good things? That's no coincidence. Our brains have something called negativity bias. Evolution makes us focus more on threats or negative things in order to survive. So if you still think about criticism from your boss, even though you get a lot of praise, that's just your brain working according to its default program. 3. The subconscious mind plays a big role. In fact, many of the decisions you make are not entirely conscious, you know. The subconscious mind has great power to influence the way you think and act. For example, why do you really like a certain song or feel safe in a certain place? It could be because of past experiences or associations that are stored in the subconscious mind. 4. Overthinking is part of evolution. Why can't I stop thinking about this? Have you ever asked yourself that? Overthinking is actually a result of evolution. In the past, our ancestors had to think hard to develop a survival strategy. But in today's era, this skill often goes too far and makes us stressed. 5. Our brains are easily deceived. Are you sure our brains are very easily deceived? For example, when you see an optical illusion or feel confident in something that is actually wrong. That's because your brain sometimes fills in the gaps in missing data with assumed responses. So it's no wonder that we often miscalculate the situation. 6. We often have a filter in our minds. This is called confirmation bias. Our brains tend to look for data that matches what we believe. So if you believe something is true, your brain will automatically focus on evidence that supports that belief and ignore what doesn't. 7. Emotions greatly affect thinking methods. Do you realize that your mood can change the way you view the world? When you're happy, everything feels easier and more beautiful. Conversely, when you're sad or angry, your brain tends to think more negatively. That's because emotions affect the way the brain processes data. 8. The brain likes to imagine. Have you ever imagined a scenario that has not yet occurred? For example, you imagine all the bad things that can happen before a job interview. This is actually the brain's way of preparing itself for possible experiences. But if not controlled, this imagination can make you more stressed. 9. Our memories are not always accurate. Do you really believe that your memory of something is true? Be careful. The brain often modifies our memories without us realizing it. Memories are not like video recordings, but more like puzzles that can change every time we remember them. 10. The mind can be trained. The good news is, the way we think can be changed and improved. With exercises such as meditation, mindfulness, or learning new things, we can help the brain work better. The mind is flexible, and you have the power to control it. Conclusion. So why do we think like this? The answer lies in the way our brains evolve and work. All the things that make you wonder actually have a logical reason behind them. By mastering how the brain works, you can accept yourself better and even control your thoughts better. Exciting, right? So don't forget to tell your friends about these interesting facts.